Hey, I'm Kat, mom of 3 and founder of Ritual, the company setting a new standard in the supplement industry. When I was pregnant, I remember staring at my prenatal vitamins and thinking, what's in this stuff? All I found were vitamins high in heavy metals and lacking in the very essential nutrients we need. So we scoured the world for the best quality ingredients, backed by clinical studies, third-party tested, and Ritual's Essential Prenatal was born. Join our family of skeptics with 40% off your first month when you visit ritual.com/podcast.
The Celebrity Jobber Podcast with Jeff Zito. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, give a 5-star rating, and leave a review. Check out all our past episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you pod. What if these celebrities weren't famous? What would they have become? What was their first job? We're about to find out.
You know our next guest from the WWE. He's on Monday Night Raw, member of the Judgment Day stable, former one-time Ring of Honor World Television Champion. Our guest this week on Celebrity Jobber, professional wrestler Damian Priest.
Hey, what's up, man?
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. So how did you get in this crazy business?
Oh, man, it's a long road right there. So.
I know. I bet it is a long road. I bet you it's a good story, though, because I always, look, I was a big fan of wrestling when I was a kid, and I'm still a fan of it now because, I have kids, and you start watching it with them again. But what did you think you were going to do? Like, what did you aim to do when you were younger? What were you going to do?
Oh, I mean, I was a fan like yourself, and I remember a buddy of mine in high school, we'd always talk about, making it one day, becoming wrestlers. And it was just the idea of that, being that larger-than-life character, the superheroes, supervillains. And I used to fight in martial arts, and when it didn't look like there was much of a future in that, I wasn't sure what I was going to do, and my buddy was like, hey, let's do this wrestling thing. To me, I was like, how? Do we just show up and say,
right.
I want to wrestle?
Yeah.
And he was like, no, like anything else, you got to go to a school and train and learn. And I was like, okay. So he found one and at the time I was living in North New Jersey. He found one in South New Jersey, so it was a couple hours away, but I would go 2 or 3 times a week to go train, and little by little like that, and then started doing little independent shows, wrestling for zero money, or
right.
maybe a hot dog, or
right.
If I got lucky, I'd get a few dollars for gas, $5 or something. And this went on for years, and a lot of tough roads, where, at one point I was living on the street basically because I didn't have anything, and go food shopping at dollar stores.
Right.
That it had nothing. So it was definitely tough because it's not rewarding, at first. It's actually, you said it like a rock star. I compare it to that because, when bands or artists are trying to make it, they struggle. They're working for nothing just to get noticed and an opportunity. So that's basically it's the same thing in that sense. You're not really making anything. You're doing it just to get noticed. Hopefully somebody just happens to be there. And at the same time, you're getting experience and getting your reps in. But
let's rewind and tell me where you're from and what kind of job maybe your mom and dad had.
So I was born in New York, but I was raised in Puerto Rico. And then my parents split. So my mom had taken me to Puerto Rico when I was really young. And then she had gotten sick, so that I moved back with my dad in New York, in the Bronx. And then he used to own martial arts schools.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was his main thing at the time. And he trained me, and I used to fight in tournaments and whatnot. And I was it's pretty good. But at the time, martial arts didn't really seem like it had a future. Like UFC was still starting off. So
right.
It was like one of those things that it was illegal everywhere. So you really didn't think there was a future in fighting, unless
sure.
it was boxing, which I didn't do. So they didn't really have much. And then one thing led to another. My father ended up closing down the martial arts schools and changed career paths, and then he got into construction. I really wasn't big into that. So
no, yeah.
It was like, what do I do now?
Right.
And, so I chose the path of wrestling.
Well, I can see it now, I mean, look, a lot of people, a lot of times things just happen, but then there's a lot of time that you're steered in that direction because of, your family. And I can definitely see the connection now.
Yeah.
Do you ever think about UFC, Damian, now that, you're successful in the WWE? Do you ever think about maybe you can really fight. So
it's funny, right before I got signed to the WWE, I was considering doing a cage fight. I met a promoter, and he was like, we'll hook it up. And I really considered it. And I was like, I remember my buddy, Matt Riddle, who used to fight in UFC.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, you'll help train me and get me a good camp and get me some good coaches and whatnot. And he was like, absolutely. So I was like, you know what? I think I could do this, because I used to, spar with him, and he used to take me to some schools where he would do like seminars, and so I'd get down with fighters, and he was like, yeah, you can still do this. And I was like, all right, so I'll give it a shot. But then, I got an opportunity. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to give this up.
Okay. So let's talk about like what your big break was, because you're just talking about finding a wrestling school, down in the Jersey Shore, and you're, wrestling for hot dogs. You're living on the streets, basically. I mean, it was a rough road, but tell me about that phone call or just that big break that kind of changed it all for you.
It's crazy. So around 2010, I had a tryout with WWE. And I wasn't ready. I was out of shape. And, I was one of those that I blamed everybody else for it. And I obviously didn't get hired. And then I kept on doing the same thing. And I was out of shape, I was really out of shape. I was about 365
Wow.
pounds.
Okay.
I didn't go to the gym at all.
Wow.
Whatsoever. So I was not in good shape. And, but I didn't understand why I wasn't getting opportunities. And one day it just clicked. It was like, this is my dream. Why am I not working to my fullest for my dream? Nobody else is going to do it,
Right.
And I mean, it was like a light switch. From one day to the next, I just changed my whole life. I had a job where I was set. I was running a club in Atlantic City, New Jersey, and basically had a free apartment, free car. And I was like, you got my 2 weeks notice. I don't want to do this anymore, because they wanted me to not wrestle on the weekends and just be there. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. So I was like, well, now I really got to give it my all. And then in 2015, I got another tryout, and I came in shredded and in really good shape, and everybody liked me, and it was good, but there was nothing for me at the time. And I ended up signing with another company that gave me an opportunity. And again, the following year, I called WWE to see if there was anything, and they were like, no. So I kind of gave up on that dream of working for WWE, but I was okay with it. I was okay with, I'll still wrestle. I'll still be okay, and I'll just be positive about it. Whatever comes my way, I'll take it. A year later, I get a phone call. Hey, are you still in the contract? No? Okay, we'd like to give your number to so-and-so and see if you'd like to come in and work for us.
Wow.
And I was like, is this for real? I was like, is this a joke? Because it's just not funny.
Right.
And that's how it happened. And it happened really fast. I was working for Ring of Honor, and I was their television champion. And then WWE wants to sign me, and I wasn't working on the contract at that time. So I did an all-in event, which is, I guess, AW.
Right.
While being the Ring of Honor television champion, signed to WWE.
Wow. I mean, and it's just like all the hard work pays off for, it's not like luck either, because, you hear a lot of guys and it's like, yeah, my lucky break or whatever, but it's not, because, you've been preparing for this moment, your whole life. And then all of a sudden that phone rings or whatever it is, that one thing happens that changes your life forever. Yeah. So, what next? What do you think, Damian? What do you think after the WWE? I mean, you could do it for a long time. I mean, me and you were close to the same age, so, I don't consider myself a young man, but you got some time.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I know I'm not a young man, but the world is different now, and athletes are different, and I feel younger than I did 10 years ago, especially the fact that I'm, the weight I lost, and, that I train all the time now. Right. It's a completely different animal. I don't see, and there's no end in sight right now. You know what I mean? Like, right. I'm not even thinking that. So, but after, when it's all done, I don't, it's one of those things that I'm not sure, but I love this business. So whatever I do, I'm probably going to stay involved in this business somehow, whether it's coaching, producing, something. But I feel like I'd have to stay in the business just because I love the company. I love what I do. And there's nowhere else I'd rather be.
And I can tell you there's a spot for you probably in the business, because from the time I, had my relationship with the WWE and I they'd bring me, into the ring to, announce some of the matches or whatever. I'd be greeted by, the late Howard Finkel, ring announcer. I'd go backstage. I'd see Pat Patterson, doing something. I'd see all these legendary guys having a role with the company somehow. So it was like so fun for me to go backstage as a wrestling fan and see some of the older guys, the guys that I grew up with, the guys that I watched in the 80s, all kind of still in that WWE fraternity, and they have some kind of role with the company. I think you're in the right spot to where you'll be working with them.
That's the goal. And it is pretty cool, getting to see, because I go through it now when I have all these people that I grew up watching, and I'm there, I work with them in the backstage and whatnot, and it's pretty neat.
Who is your best friend, or, like the guy that you'll hang around with the most at work? Well,
I got a little bit of a faction, so the judges, those are my people. If anything, Rhea Ripley, she's like my best friend.
Really?
To be honest. But Dominic and Finn Balor as well. Those are my people. We're always, traveling together and like literally inseparable. Even when we're home, we're like last night I was just at Finn Balor's house, celebrating his birthday. So we stick together. It's pretty cool. And then outside of the Judgment Day, I have my buddies, where Austin Theory and Matt Riddle,
right,
and a few others that we usually travel together and hang out when we're not beating each other up in the ring.
Right. Well, it's funny to know that reality. I guess it reality imitates. What do they say? Fiction imitates. I don't know what the saying is, but it's fun to see that in real life. Damian Priest is kind of the same guy, hanging around with kind of the same people. I think that's kind of cool, man. You're a cool guy, man. I really appreciate you coming on, and best of luck. I think you're going to go a long way. I just, again, love this business, and I love talking to you guys, and, I love to hear the struggle, that everybody has a different story, The Miz, his story is different than yours, Yeah,
and in this business, everybody's got their own struggle.
Yes, everybody definitely has their own struggle. Great talking to you, Damian. Thanks so much. I appreciate your time. So before wrestling, Damian Priest was a mixed martial artist. His dad owned some mixed martial arts studios in New York or New Jersey. That was what his father's job was. And Damian's job was basically he trained. He trained as a mixed martial artist and won 2 national championships in full contact martial arts. He said after his dad closed the studios down, he kind of went into construction, and Damian didn't seem too interested in construction, so he figured he'd go full bore into this wrestling thing. Now, when he was working at a club in Atlantic City, New Jersey, he said everything kind of clicked. He said, I got to really focus on my dream, and then, of course, the call, his big break actually happened. And that's it, a phone call out of the blue. If not for that call, maybe Damian still working at that club in Atlantic City, New Jersey, or who knows? You might see him on the UFC. Kind of not a big thing when he was first getting going, but it sure is now. Everybody's got a story. And if not for that big break, who knows what would have happened to Luis Martinez, a.k.a. Damian Priest, from the Judgment Day stable, the WWE. Hey, thanks again for listening. Please, if you like this podcast, give us a 5-star rating, leave a review. Follow us on Instagram, Celebrity Jobber Podcast. Past episodes up on celebrityjobber.com. And we'll dedicate this episode to the late, great Bray Wyatt, incredible wrestler who just recently passed away at the age of 36. Such a tragedy. Rest in peace, my good man. Until next time, this is the Celebrity Jobber Podcast. I'm Jeff Zito.